Hey everyone, so this is just a quick video on how to set up a DualShock controller for il2. You could use this for any type of console type controller. I was using a DualShock. I'm not actually using a DualShock anymore. I'm using a T4K something or other that can emulate a DualShock, and the reason why the DualShock's critical is because of the gyro and the gyro to mouse, and yes, so gyro to mouse means I can use the gyro to control the head as if the gyro just pretends it emulates the mouse. So you move the controller around, it moves the head round. All my recent il2 videos, I've been controlling the game with a controller. I'm not the best player, but I've noticed no degradation in my performance. The controller I'm using and the DualShock I was using, I had the dead zone set at 0. The one I'm using now has Hall effect sensors, so there's no drift, there's no issues, accuracy's fine. I mean, my accuracy's bad in general, but someone who's better at the game might not like this, but I doubt it. Most people use console controllers and are really good at using them as controls. So, specifically key bindings, now we've got head tracking out of the way. So, well, to finish off head tracking, so the mouse movement only lets me look left, right, up, down. Okay, so how do I control the rest of the head movement? Well, with this stick. So I've rebound it here, as you can rebind it to whatever keys you want, but I've done up, down, left, right, and right stick click. And so in game, it's bound as if I pull back on the stick, the head moves up. If I push the stick forward, the head moves forward. If I move the stick left, it slides to the left. If I press right, it slides to the right. And if I click down, it moves, the head moves, down into the seat. So with this and the gyro, really good natural head control. The second part of head control I use is these buttons, the shoulder buttons. So this is bound in game. What's it bound here as? I think it's just the default shoulder. Yeah, left bumper. I've just left that as default. And in game, il2 picks it up. And so this is check 6 left, which is just the in game key binding, and check 6 right. Now, the good thing about these two things is when you click him, he'll look over his shoulder and you can still control the camera. But when you release it, it'll recenter to your default position, which I think in il2 you change it so it's in snap position mode, and you can change the camera so the camera's got zero delay in movement and zooming in and out, and then you can adjust your head position from the default position. I like to be a little bit higher and either closer or further back, and then I save it. And then so when I hit these shoulder, because when you're controlling it, you move the controller around. When you zoom in and out, you kind of lose tracking. And so then I just tap these shoulder buttons and I'm back dead center. Or I say I've got the controller pointing twisted off to the left, and then I can just tap the shoulder button, hold it down, move the controller back to center, release it. Everything's good. Once you get familiar with it, it's super natural, and it was really good. And then what else do I have here? So my controller doesn't actually have a trackpad, but it has extra buttons that come out as trackpad buttons. So I've just put these as keypad symbols because my keyboard doesn't actually have a keypad, so there's no overlap or conflict. Directional pad I've just left, and I use that as trim or stabilizer control. rudder. Um, Never really used roll trim in game much, so but you could use like a well, anyway, I won't get into that. And then this stick is just the flight stick, and then I press it in for autopilot. This button here I have as shoot all guns. This is drop bombs. Circle is throttle up. Cross is throttle down. Flaps up. Flaps down. Squares flaps down. Triangles flaps up. Right trigger, left trigger. So I have pedals because I have a full hot ass setup. I have a full track IR hot ass. Well, I was using open track setup. I had pedals. So I like using pedals. I don't like using hot ass or ed tracking. So I don't use the triggers for rudder, but you can easily use the triggers for rudder. I use the right trigger for zoom. I use VJoy, which I'll get into in a later video, to rebind the axis. Zoom, you could just put zoom as a single button. It doesn't have to be an axis. Yeah. Oh, and I have brake. Brake is bound to both of these buttons. So like when I'm taxiing, I can just hold the button down and the throttle won't keep going up. The throttle will stay at the same position and the brake will be on. So with something like the F190, I found everyone says, oh, lock the tail wheel. You can taxi between 30 and 60% throttle, just holding the brakes down, perfectly fine. You can taxi and it just controls and taxis really nice like that. Yeah, and that covers this part of a series of videos on like making the game easier to play and more fun. Thank you for watching.